Suppose you're standing 26,000 feet above the land where the air is so thin that your lungs scream with every breath. Your blood begins to thicken, and your body starts dying the moment you arrive. There are only 14 places like this on Earth, each one deep in a place where survival is unnatural. And yet, one man set out to climb them all, with no bottled oxygen and ropes. So, did he make it just with his determination and willpower? You need to understand what he was up against. Those 14 8,000ers are the mountains that rise above 8,000 meters, or 26,247 feet, and are the crown jewels of the climbing world. Above there, oxygen levels drop to 1/3 of what we breathe at sea level. The human body can't acclimate and simply starts to die. This is what climbers call the death zone, because every one of these peaks is a death trap. Fewer than 50 people in history have climbed all 14. And of those who did, most relied on oxygen, teams, fixed ropes, and even then, many never came back. But one man didn't just want to climb them, he wanted to embrace them. Without any shortcuts or support, just him versus nature. So, who was crazy enough to try the death? Let's go back to where it all began. He was born in the shadow of the Italian Alps, a quiet boy surrounded by snow-packed cliffs. By age 5, he was already climbing peaks with his younger brother. The mountains weren't just a playground, they were his way of life. As he grew older, he rejected the traditional expedition-style climbing that relied on Sherpas, fixed camps, and supplemental oxygen. He believed the mountain should be climbed in the purest way possible, without help. This was the Alpine style, minimal gear and maximum risk. To him, anything less was cheating. People called him arrogant and reckless. But to Messner, climbing wasn't about fame or records. It was about testing the limits of human will and honoring the mountain. And in 1970, he got his first real test as a mountain that would change his life forever. So, it all began in 1970. On Nanga Parbat, one of the most infamous peaks in the world. At 26,660 feet, it's the 9th highest mountain on Earth, but it's also called the Killer Mountain for a reason. Countless climbers had already met their end trying to conquer it. Yet, Reinhold Messner didn't hesitate. This was his first 8,000-meter peak, and it wouldn't be easy. On the descent, tragedy struck as Reinhold's younger brother, Gunther, who had been by his side the entire climb, slipped and fell. In a desperate attempt to save him, Messner nearly lost his own life. He was forced to continue alone, with his body eaten by frostbite and several toes lost. But it wasn't just the physical scars that would stay with him. It was the emotional trauma and the guilt of having failed to save his brother. It was this pain that pushed Messner forward, a driving force in his quest to conquer the remaining peaks. But from this moment on, it would be a journey he would make alone without any partner. Just one man against the mountains. And the road to the summit of the 14 8,000ers wasn't a straight path. It was a long, brutal timeline of victories and failures, one after another. Reinhold's determination was unbreakable, but the mountains kept testing him every step of the way. In 1972, he reached Manaslu, the 8th highest mountain. That was followed by Gasherbrum in 1975, also known as Hidden Peak. But it was in 1978 when the world truly began to take notice of Messner's skills when he summited Mount Everest. He did it without bottled oxygen, and no one had ever even attempted that before him. But Messner didn't stop there. Over the next 8 years, from 1981 to 1986, he continued to conquer giants like K2, Kingchenjunga, Makalu, and Dhaulagiri. There were many more, including Cho Oyu, Broad Peak, Annapurna, Lhotse, and Shishapangma. And it wasn't easy at all. Every climb was an emotional and physical battle. He faced brutal storms, intense frostbite, and the constant threat of death. He was literally at war, not just with the mountains, but with himself. And yet, with each ascent, he became more determined. He stuck to his alpine style and followed just raw, unassisted climbing. In fact, no one else has ever done it quite like him. He wasn't just climbing mountains, he was rewriting the rulebook of what it meant to truly climb. And through the countless hardships, failures, and wins, there was one thing that always remained certain, that Messner would reach the top on his terms. So, by 1986, Reinhold Messner had already done the impossible 13 times, but one final summit remained. It was Lhotse, the fourth highest mountain on Earth, standing just beside Everest at 27,940 feet. It wasn't just another climb, it was the last chapter of a journey that had spanned 16 brutal years. And on October 16, 1986, Messner finally made it. Without any support or any crowd watching, just silence at the top of the world. He did it alone with nothing but grit, pain, and willpower holding him together. The world recognized his determination, and it wasn't just a world record, it was a redefinition of human endurance. With that final step, he became the first human being in history to climb all 14 of the world's 8,000ers without bottled oxygen or Sherpas, and that's what made him different. And if you're still breathing after hearing that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to keep climbing with us through the craziest stories on Earth. So, it was Messner's unique style that made him stand out from the crowd of mountain climbers. Because Messner didn't see mountains as trophies, he saw them as sacred, wild places that deserve respect. Where other climbers used oxygen tanks and fixed ropes, he embraced what he called pure climbing using alpine style. He preferred no assistance and no backup plan. He climbed in harmony with nature, not against it, and it became his strength. He welcomed the suffering and walked into solitude willingly, not for fame or fortune, but because he wanted to know what was left of a man when everything else was stripped away. For him, the mountain wasn't the enemy. It was the mirror, and to truly climb it, he had to face himself. While others raced to the summit, Messner believed that how you got there mattered more than if you got there. In a world chasing shortcuts, he chose the long, lonely road, and in doing so, became the benchmark by which all true climbers would be judged. And that's exactly why his legacy didn't stop with the final summit. So, do you think anyone will ever match Messner's spirit and style? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks for climbing with us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a crazy climb.